Hey guys, Justin Weiss here. I'm with Chandra Duggirala from Project Portal. We're going to have a conversation about what they do. I just had an opportunity to talk to him over here and his friend George, and really enjoyed talking to the two, so I figured I'd just pull Chandra over here for the camera and get an opportunity to talk to you guys live. So Chandra, thank you so much for taking the time, my friend.
Thank you, John. Nice talking to you as well.
Tell me about yourself and what you do and why you're here at CESC.
So, interesting papers being presented. Wanted to see what new advances in crypto and kind of security models about securing blockchains and exchanges, etc. What we do as a company is that we allow people to trade cryptocurrency for other cryptocurrencies in a trust minimized fashion. Mm-hmm. So there are a couple of ways to trade cryptocurrencies. One is a centralized exchange where you and I put our currencies at a third-party custodian, they escrow those services, and then we trade. The other one is within Ethereum or some other specific blockchains. You can do something called decentralized exchange, where the trades are actually enforced by the smart contracts.
Sure.
Unfortunately, decentralization of either using an order book decentralization or using third-party relayers to actually update the order books at multiple parties have problems with speed, user experience, and oftentimes cost associated with on-chain settlement of transactions.
Yeah.
So that boils down to a very poor user experience, poor usability. Therefore, DEXs haven't taken off. We spent a lot of time actually talking to users, spent a lot of time looking at the underlying tech of decentralized exchanges, and we came to the conclusion that if the user experience, both in terms of the cost, usability, etc., doesn't match a very good centralized exchange, it is not viable or sustainable in the long term. Mm-hmm. And the way to do this, some of the tools have been available for a long time. For example, cross-chain atomic swaps date all the way back to 2013, but they had several problems which made them impractical for consumer-grade product that scales. So we fixed the problems with the layer 1 swaps, and then we move the contract execution, the trade execution to layers 2 and layers 3.
Okay.
We have additional privacy features that actually protect the identity of the traders. And there's a zero-knowledge system that enforces that the trade execution is guaranteed, and then you get proofs that your trades are executed. And then we don't introduce any new security unknowns or variables with a new blockchain, with a new kind of token or anything of that sort. We just inherit the security properties of layer 1 blockchains.
Okay.
But because of the execution being performed by layers that specialize in that specific task, not on-chain layer 1 itself, it's as fast or as faster than a centralized exchange. User experience is simpler and easier oftentimes than any good centralized exchange. And it's consumer grade, it works now.
Okay.
So it's trust minimized exchange, that's what we're getting to. We really don't care about decentralizing an exchange, we really want to trust minimize the process of the exchange.
Sure. So I like that idea because I've talked about decentralized exchanges quite a bit on the show, and it is my general, again, non-techie opinion that that's absolutely the better way of the future. Again, I kind of approach things from a somewhat of a Bitcoin maximalist, security maximalist, like, yeah, we really can't trust anybody, let's have the base layer as trustless, right? But again, I call things the way that I see them, and as it stands right now and as it has been, decentralized exchanges, the way that I'm familiar with them, they're terrible to use. There's no liquidity, they are inconvenient, and it's very similar to how you want to set up a successful sales funnel or a successful website, right? The user, the normie or whoever, needs to be able to come in, the end user, the first user needs to be able to come in, very quickly sign up for your service, very quickly understand what the buttons do, and not have to be experienced, right? They don't have to be at a second tier level of IT to be able to use your platform, and that's what decentralized exchanges are. I get questions from students of ours in the group who don't understand, they say they go to ETH Delta or anything like that, and they don't know what to do. Like they don't, even the green, just as simple as, well, the green button buys and the red button sells. It's not that simple,
Right.
So, I think it's interesting. So, again, what you say is you're using, basically, your project is blockchain agnostic. So are there any limitations, or is there anything that cannot be used?
So it has to support the hash functions that Bitcoin supports.
Okay.
So any blockchain that supports SHA-256 and ECDSA, etc., will have automatic compatibility with in and out exchange with Bitcoin. Because in the long term, we don't believe any blockchain that has no frictionless, seamless interconvertibility or exchange with Bitcoin is going to survive, because that's the mother of liquidity. And you have to have it Eventually, all blockchains will support it. Even the ones that don't now will support it.
Sure.
You can upgrade. Right now, we work with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin-derived chains. They're easy. Privacy coins, some of them actually are derivatives of Bitcoin, so they support that. And going back to the point you said about decentralized exchanges, you're exactly right. It feels like we've almost left all of the lessons we've learned on the consumer web aside when we came to crypto, and we said, oh, you know what, you have to have a graduate degree in computer science to actually know what the hell is going on and be able to trade, basically custody your coins, trade your coins for other coin. That I don't think is viable or sustainable, which is exactly why decentralized exchanges are hard to use, don't have adoption. Another economic problem is that they actively disaggregate liquidity. Is that at a centralized exchange, you have two-sided marketplace, buyers, sellers, more benefits the other side. Very simple network effect, and it scales, right? It gets better and better with scale. DEX, because of the volume, increases the need to actually propagate that order book everywhere. It's slower and slower over time.
Right, because you're just simply transmitting more data.
Exactly, which is a problem. And as you see on the, this is one of the lessons of the consumer web is that strong network effects, two-sided marketplaces really, really work well if the friction is removed from the entry and exit. So
what, so the system relies on Bitcoin's, I mean, what is it that keeps this atomic swap system secure? Is there a particular, protocol that you're using for atomic swaps, and where does that occur, kind of again, to a non-tech person?
Sure. So we call the protocol ZK swap.
Yep.
The essential building blocks of the protocol are what are called hash time lock contracts. Nothing new. This is basically conditional payment setup, meaning I can say, hey, Justin has some Ethereum, I have some Bitcoin. If Justin gives me his Ethereum, I have to give him my Bitcoin.
Sure.
And we use something called HTLCs, or hash time lock contracts, which are just basic conditions, encumbrances on my money and your money on the different blockchain. What makes it atomic is that it cannot be reduced into any further smaller components. So the whole transaction, you getting my Bitcoin and me getting your Ethereum, is one. It cannot be further decomposed. So either the whole thing happens or it doesn't, right? So the security of that actually depends on security of the hash function. Now, if you believe that the hash functions are collision resistant, and that once you create a secret with adequate randomness, there's no way for me to guess that secret. I can't steal your money. Right.
So you are leveraging the security and the strength of SHA-256 of Bitcoin's hashing platform to secure what you guys are doing with ZK swaps.
So no new, very limited new variables in there. Well understood building blocks. There are some problems with these hash time lock contracts. Something like the inadvertent call option. There's another problem. Called lockup griefing or liquidity trolling. There's another one called no incentivization for facilitating these swaps, etc. So we fixed all of those on layer 1, and then we moved the execution to layer 2 and layer 3.
Sure.
And then the circuit actually proves that the swaps get executed. We wrote the protocol first, but for the protocol to actually guarantee all of these properties, right? The incentivization of the swap facilitation, incentivizing that internalizing the cost of the option, because you don't want to have free options which are economically inefficient, and liquid markets don't like them. They won't get adoption. Making both parties that participate in the swap actually have a penalty for not performing and coming through with whatever they agreed to do. Stuff like that we've actually fixed on layer 1. And for us to guarantee all three of those properties, we need the client, which is your actual wallet, to fully follow the protocol, follow through this construction of these special kinds of transactions, which are supported by the blockchain. No new opcodes needed. Check that the transactions are actually constructed validly. So we've also built the client itself, meaning it's a multi-currency wallet that actually supports the protocol, tightly integrated, and then that guarantees everything. The other beauty of that is that it's very, very simple. It's a standard, we think it's the easiest to use multi-currency wallet, and then swaps are just like one button, and then you switch between any currency. So gold standard, at least for the time being, is how easy Coinbase is to use to exchange coin from one coin to another. You're just able to do that now.
Awesome.
With no third party in the middle. We don't take control of your coins, we don't take custody of anything, we don't control peer-to-peer swaps. That's the nature of the system. So.
Okay. Now, you talked about, so you have this multi-currency wallet. This is a desktop wallet?
This is a desktop wallet for now. Mobile is coming.
Okay, and mobile will come. Now, is there going to be a cold storage option for greater security?
Yes.
Okay.
the cold storage, and that's the other advantages of actually doing the client ourselves, which is you can actually set arbitrary thresholds where you could say, if my balance exceeds a certain number of Bitcoin or Ethereum or Zcash or whatever, you automatically send that excess to your cold storage.
Gotcha.
Right?
Gotcha.
You automatically do a one-way transaction.
Sure.
Obviously, you can't pull from it. What that protects you from is if somebody steals your phone or your mobile or desktop, you have a strict limit of how much you can actually lose.
Cool. That's nice. That's nice. I like that. I like that. So good.
Thinking at it from a user experience, consumer usability standpoint, actually is something that, in addition to having good tech that works, is going to change the game in terms of crypto adoption.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Again, it's
Reducing
getting
the friction.
You know, it's kind of like, you know, we always talk about, because we focus on trading a lot, and when new people come in, new people are interested in trading, they're interested in investing in cryptocurrency, and I think it's really important for there to be good content out there for them to gravitate towards.
Yes.
Otherwise, the space will naturally get filled up with those who are either
Centralized custodians, which
Right.
endanger the system in the long run.
Right.
Absolutely,
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, tell us a little bit about where can people find out more about you. Also, if you wanted to comment a little bit about like where you guys are kind of at with, you know, how long have you guys been around? You know, what kind of adoption do you have, or where are you at in your release, or kind of where are you guys at? Where's Portal at right now today?
We've been working on this product since 2018, around March, April of last year. Right now, the wallet is done. The swaps are working, and we've just done a public demonstration.
Okay.
We're about 4 to 6 weeks from a public beta launch of the product, and we're based like less than a couple of blocks away from
Cool.
here. And
Well, we know where we're going for lunch.
Yep. Exactly, and yeah, it's great.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So you're gonna have your launch here in about 4 to 6 weeks. And well, where can people find you? Where can people participate?
Yes, getportal.co.
Okay,
Getportal.co. That's the logo. Getportal.co.
.co. Okay,
.co.
getportal.co.
Yeah.
I do like that. I do like the design.
Yep.
Cool, and we'll make sure we'll put the information down in the description, man. So
Awesome. Great talking to you, Justin.
You too, as well. Did you have any final thoughts or anything that you think is really neat or interesting right now in crypto?
Yes. So pick the problems that a lot of people actually want solved versus esoteric problems that are interesting academically. For us, the answer is obvious, right? It's a lot of people have problem with trading cryptocurrencies. That's a dominant use case now. Bitcoin has to go through many speculative cycles before it gets adopted as a generally accepted medium of exchange. And for us to be able to do that, you need frictionless trade exchange intermediary layers. And that's the goal for what we're doing, at least for the short to medium term.
Awesome.
Eventually, these are just the building blocks. These are just the simple primitives that you can build more complex arbitrary financial contracts on, like derivatives,
bonds, all of
bonds,
this kind of stuff. Yep.
everything else that you're experienced in doing. You could do that on top of these trust minimized trade layers. So this is just a trust minimized trade layer for digital capital markets, starting with just coin swaps.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time, Chandra. I highly appreciate it, man, and best of luck to you
Justin,
guys.
great meeting you as well.